Seems like Horde is kind of screwed for PvP. The problem is, and it's not really that big of a problem, I don't think, because Alliance can queue into Alliance and Horde can queue into Horde, so it doesn't really matter, in my opinion, too much. But like, yeah, so the issue is like, all of the good PvPers basically said, let's play Alliance. So now if you're a good PvPer, you're on Alliance because you want to play with the other good PvPers that are also Alliance. So it's like domino theory, right? Like once one goes, the rest follow. And that's basically like, so all the best players are on one side. Doesn't mean there's not also really good Horde players, but you know, that's just kind of how it's working. I don't think it's that big of a deal because in Battlegrounds, you can queue into Alliance and in Arenas, you can queue into Alliance. So it's like, it's not actually that bad. If in Arenas, you can only queue into Horde or something, like that would be a problem, dude. They should avert the change to BGs where Alliance faced Alliance since it was only the thing that kept the players on Horde side. I disagree. I think you just... I mean, for me, like, maybe I'm crazy here, but for me, like, I don't care in a re-release of Mists of Pandaria if it's perfectly balanced. What people care about is playing with their friends and getting queues. And as long as we can get queues and play with friends, then it's not an issue. And this accomplishes both of those things. So from where I'm sitting, it's a non-issue. It's actually less to do with human racial being OP and more to do with domino theory than you would expect. Because like back in MoP, like everyone played Horde and undead racial is also really good. Human racial is also really good, but I don't think everyone's Alliance because humans OP. I think everyone's Alliance because everyone's Alliance because everyone's Alliance. Does that make sense? It has a lot more to do with player psychology than it does racials, in my opinion. Nah, it's the racial. You know, like people always, you know, okay, I think the real answer is it's a bit of both, but I would argue it's more player psychology than it is the racial. And one of the like things that could defend that is like back in the day, everyone played Horde because everyone was Horde, you know, and undead racial in this expansion is insanely good. So it's better for Priest for sure. It's probably like equally as good or almost as good for a mage. Orc is better for warriors, I would say. Orc is better for monk. I would actually maybe make the claim that there are, let me think. I would say there are almost more comps that benefit from being orc and undead than there are comps that benefit from being human. Like that it would be pretty close, but I would maybe make the claim. Anyway, back then everyone played Horde because Horde was so darn good. So, I don't know. I think people overestimate it. Dude, Orc for Monk is insane. Orc for Monk is so good. And Orc for Warrior is so good. And then Undead for Priest is so good. This only affects the top 0.0001. Right, which also defends my point that I think it's more player psychology. Like, if everyone was on Horde, I think then everyone would then go Horde just because they want to play with their friends. So, yeah, I think that even backs it up even more. Anyway, it's a mix of both, but I would probably make the argument that it's more player psychology than racial. People are sheep. I mean, so maybe people are sheep, but that's not the point. Like, people want to play with their friends. Like, if you start the game and all your friends are Alliance, where are you gonna play? Like, you know no one on Horde. Like, you'd probably play Alliance, right? It's not about being a sheep or not. It's just about wanting to play with your friends. Like, if all my friends were Horde, I would have played Horde. I'll say that. I'll say it right there, you know? Like, for sure. Easily. Someone needs to go first. Make a point and go Horde so your friends follow with that logic. Yeah, that's what happens like every other expansion. You see everyone swap over, right? And we've seen it in the past many times. So I think that kind of proves the point even more. Back in the day, between, like, Wrath and Kata, players went Horde to Alliance, and between Kata and MoP, players went from Alliance back to Horde. And a lot of it was I think a lot of it was because like Rekful wanted to go, and then like Rekful had like such a strong influence on like his arena teams with like Snuts and Venruki and Soda and all them, and then everyone else just kind of went, and then all the fans kind of followed, and then all of their friends followed, and then it just became a movement. And you saw that not once, and not even twice. You saw that like many times. That's kind of why like I have this perspective of that a lot of it's player psychology, because I've seen it happen many times where it's a full swap based on one player's kind of decision. The whole like in Kata, it happened with guild NAO Gaming, if you guys remember that. So NAO Gaming kind of started, and they made tournaments, and everyone wanted to be in the tournaments for NAO Gaming or whatever because there was cash prizes. And what ended up happening is everyone swapped to the server that NAO Gaming's guild was on, which was on Alliance. I can't remember what server was that on. It was Kel'Thuzad. Yeah, it was Kel'Thuzad. So everyone swapped to Kel'Thuzad to be in this guild. But when I say everyone, I'm just talking about like the top players that wanted to compete in the tournament. But what was interesting, I think, is what happened next, right? The player psychology aspect followed. So after all the top players went to compete in a tournament, all of their friends went so they could compete with them, and then this guild started getting popular, and then Kel'Thuzad became the server that all the best players were on, so that all of the not the best players then followed, and then Kel'Thuzad became the realm that everyone was at for like a good 2 years. Once again, player psychology, right? It's a really interesting thing to think about. It's basically what happened in Classic too. Yeah, it kind of happens in Classic with mega servers. Exactly right.